Well, our last item with Mr. Shimmin is probably the biggest one for a lot of people. How to deal with the long-term unemployed. First of all, what numbers are we talking about here? What is our...
Just around 200. It's just, it was a bit above 200. It's now 190 long-term unemployed. That's people out of work for over 12 months.
And without being rude to some people, and I'm not meant to be, but some people just don't necessarily fit the criteria to have a normal job, if that's the way to put it. You know, they just don't want to or can't get that sort of job anyway, whatever happens.
There are people who find it difficult to get into full-time or even regular work. Our job is to try and protect those people who are by nature vulnerable. Part of the government's policy is to protect the vulnerable, and it does nobody any good to have people sitting unemployed with all the social and emotional problems that brings. It costs the taxpayer, but it also costs a waste of a life of somebody who doesn't feel fulfilled.
So what are you going to do?
Well, between ourselves and social care, again with the support of Treasury, we're injecting £300,000 into this area. This is for the training, for the support to the people, initiatives with the private sector to actually halve the number of long-term unemployed by 2015.
This sounds like headcount though. You're going to put people into positions to do this job to get them off unemployment?
No, the money will go to the people and the trainers to actually get people into work. What they need is an opportunity to build up their skills so they can be value to employers, or also build up their confidence, because anybody who knows somebody who's been unemployed either through health or through unemployment for a period of time, it is really emotionally draining and those people lose their confidence, and we need to get them back on the horse, and this is a means of injecting quite a large amount of money in order to give those people medium and long-term support to get them off benefits and back into work.
I mean, there are jobs out there. I mean, every week we're told there are jobs. I mean, okay, it's the service industries, and you might go to a coffee shop and you might hear a foreign accent. I certainly do still hear that today. Where are we going? I mean, you're still going to have people on work permits and yet still have these long-term unemployed, or is this all part of the same thing to literally make them go back to work?
It's not a case of making them go back to work, but there is a small percentage of people who have got established onto benefit culture. So Mr. Robertshaw and ourselves are looking at that, and it comes into the minimum wage, the whole aspect of whether it is worth people going out and working or not. One of the most undervalued areas is in the hospitality sector and the retail sector, where traditionally they've been jobs that a lot of Manx people didn't want to go into or weren't very well paid. We've got to try and raise the importance of that. Everybody knows that good service is a difficulty at times in the service sector. That is to an extent why there are so many East Europeans and people from off Ireland who have a culture of more service than maybe we've developed over the last few years. So we will be giving skills, as we have done with working with Sleepwell, where they took a number of people off the unemployment, worked with ourselves, they gave training and skills, and some of them are now in full-time work. So we can get these people into work, we can motivate them to do it, but it does take time and effort on the part of employers and government. And thankfully there's social firms who are prepared to give a little bit in order to try and train people up, and the social and emotional value is important to the individual, and the economic value is great that we actually employing our own people in jobs that they get a reward and money for.
You mentioned they sleep well in that conversation, and immediately I'm going back to the Sefton whole thing, but I don't want to carry on that particularly. But the fact of the matter is, you need these sort of people on your side. Have you got their goodwill still?
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, the Sleepwell initiative, and there have been others, but we need to be doing this in retail, and we're doing training courses through the college and ourselves to actually get people into retail, to understand what it is the customer needs. The same in the hospitality, whether it be the front of house or whether it be in the kitchens or behind in hospitality areas. All of that require employers to work with us, and we are overwhelmed by the amount of support to try and particularly get young people, the NEETs, off the unemployment register, and these people are a wasted asset to the island at the moment. We need them to go back and do something that they feel worthwhile. Maybe in the past they've been a bit too choosy. There are a lot of jobs around, whether that be at the food park in Peel, whether that be unsociable hours. We've got to get people to realise that it does take hard work to get into employment and to give a value to an employer.
Well, it's interesting to mention the food park. I mean, we've got pictures of this when Prince Charles was going around, and I've been there before, and it has a lot of immigrants working in that sort of field. I mean,
and that's very important to our economy, because if you talk to the owners of the businesses out there, if they are going to be efficient, if they are going to be economically able to continue in work, they have to be having an efficient workforce. And therefore, the reliability of the workforce to turn up, work hard, and at times in either unsocial hours or unsocial circumstances. And unfortunately, some of our people choose not to do that. So if those businesses are to thrive, and if they are to export the goods around the world, then we need a good workforce. And we've got to raise the bar. Some of our local people maybe aren't putting in the effort that we would expect. This is an incentive to give them a little bit of a carrot to help them get back onto the employment route. But if they don't, then we've got to look at the benefits and say, well, are they really contributing?
The stick.
Yeah, and there has to be both. Our end is the carrot. We will give these people who have maybe lost confidence or haven't the right skills to get jobs, we will work with them to try and encourage them to get those skills. If they choose not to take it, then we have to look at alternatives.